Hey, oi, oi, welcome to Drinks Coach. And this is a proper Drinks Coach episode this time. Um, Guess where I am? I'm on the decking of my mum's house in Sweden. I'm here with my lovely wife who's going to be directing this piece and helping me with all the bits. What am I doing? Well, it's a beautiful sunny day. We've finally got a few days of real Swedish summer, which is quite something, I'll tell you. We are going to go to the beach later and go for a lovely swim. I'm going to have a drink. This is Northern Gould, which is quite a well-known brand of lager. What time is it? It's about nearly 12. Now, that's really frowned upon in Sweden. As you can see, it's alcohol-free. They've been pioneers of the alcohol-free movement for so long. Also, the Swedish government still take a stance, really, that any alcohol drinking is bad. There's zero tolerance in drinking and driving. If this was a can of beer and I drank this now, I wouldn't be able to get in a car until probably about 8 o'clock this evening. That's how it's zero tolerance, and it's like jail time. So they're very, very strict about that, and everyone adheres to it. They did try and get the number of fatalities on Swedish roads down to 0 in a single year. That was the aim of the government. And I think one year they managed to get down to 2, which is just quite extraordinary in a country of 10 million people. So it shows you that it works. They have roads that are not congested. They're well signed. Every car has safety devices and equipment built in. You can't turn the headlamps off on a car in Sweden, things like that. Anyway, so I'm drinking Northern Gould, not out of choice, but because it's alcohol free. Let's. I don't know what I wanted to do with this piece, but I think the most exciting thing about this is that I'm familiar with all of the ingredients I'm about to show you. And for people that have never been to Sweden or don't really understand Swedish food culture, you won't recognize anything I'm about to show you. But those people that are Swedish, or maybe are married to someone who's Swedish, or knows someone who's Swedish who has a Swedish shop in Barnes selling Swedish things, or maybe has a Swedish parent, they're going, oh my God, this is all my children's, all my days in one go. So I don't know where we should start. Should we start with breakfast? Okay. If you know breakfast, you know Gevalia. Gevalia is a mild, inexpensive coffee. I think you can buy it in IKEA. It is IKEA, not IKEA, by the way. This is a mild roast. The Swedish, I think the Norwegians are the only country in the world that drink more coffee than the Swedes. Serious. Compared to the Italians, they are chuggers of coffee. We do a pot of filter coffee every morning, and in Sweden, it's typical to have another pot of coffee in the afternoon. I'll come on to that during Fricka in the afternoon. But anyway, Gevalia. We've got a coffee roastery in the town of Slöinge called Cafe Roastery. Shout out to Daniel, who is one of the best coffee roasters I've ever come across, making some of the world's finest roasted coffee. With breakfast, or in fact in the afternoon, you might have one of these. This is a kanelbulla, which means cinnamon bun. This isn't the best example. This isn't the best brand. They just kind of look like that. These ones you can buy frozen in the frozen aisle, and you just put in the microwave for like 20 seconds and they're ready to eat. But they're a very fine examples of it as well. It's made with very stretched dough, very fluffy dough, and delicious. Can we move that over there? Okay, and also in the morning, you might have this, which is something that actually people in England will recognise. This is pepperkaka. It either comes in squares or in hearts. This is Anna's famous original pepperkaka. And they're ginger thins. And they're tiny. And you can eat like 90 in a second. And they're absolutely amazing with squeezy cheese. This is burnt butter cheese. The other one, the one that my mum loves most, is Adelost, which is a blue cheese in a tube. So you squirt that onto your sweet ginger thin and you eat it. And trust, it's a taste sensation. There we go. Burnt butter smør. Means burnt smør means burnt butter, limited edition, that one. And this is Adelost with whiskey. They'll try anything in Sweden. Okay, I'll pass that back to you before it gets too hot because it's so warm out here. Right, pepperkaka's done, kanelbulla's done, coffee's done. Okay, we've got breads. Swedes love their bread, but they also love their dried breads. This is skorpor. Kids will know skorpor because basically it's a roll that's just been dried in the sun. It's stale bread. They're selling you stale bread. They're repackaging stale bread. This one's stale on purpose. It makes great croutons. This one's got cardamom in it. Apart from cinnamon buns, you can have cardamom buns with green cardamom. Very, very delicious. And cardamom bulla are just as popular. We're in a town which has one of the world's finest ice cream factories called Glass, and they actually make cardamom bun ice cream. Nice. Okay, right, moving on. Oh, I'll pass it over to you. There we go. And this is, we have Rye Vita in this country, but Nobody eats Rivita. It's usually Vasa, W-A-S-A, Husman, or Lexand, which is the royal one. And it either comes in a circle or it comes like a Rivita like this. But if you noticed, this is actually crisp. It's called knäckebröd. Knäckebröd meaning crisp bread, but it's crisp. And it stays crisp like for a whole year. It never goes off. This is my favourite brand, Vasa Husman. But there's all sorts of different brands. Move on to dairy products. You may have heard of a company called Arla, all seeing, all dancing, destroyer of worlds, largest cheese dominator. They're like the Diageo of cheese. But they make amazing cheeses, and their top brand, if you like, in the Arla group is called Olerum, where they pick the best truckles of Swedish cheese from different dairies, and their badge is kind of like their premium products. Swedish cheese is delicious, isn't it? It is a thing. Trust, especially if you like your cow's cheese and your hard cheeses. Emma particularly likes this one. This is an 18-month-old Greve, which if you've ever been to Pret a Manger and had the Swedish meatball wrap, it has a 6 or 9 month Greve in it, but it melts incredibly well. But it tastes like, and the ham and cheese sandwich, and it tastes like premium Emmental, doesn't it? Really, really, really good. Then we've got Svezia. Svezia is a new one to the market, to the range actually, I think. This is a 14-monther. And if you look at it, it's got the same kind of structure as Tilsit or Danish cheese. Tastes like Cantal in France, like a French cheddar. It's quite delicious. Then we have Era, which is it's your favourite, isn't it? It's lovely. I think it's like very, very close to a Reserva Gruyere. It's again a very Alpine style cheese, lots of flavour, very creamy texture. And where's my favourite? It's in a little pot over there. I've done the most sinful thing you can do to any cheese, and I've cut the nose off it, coupe l'année, because I use this as an alternative to Parmesan here, because it's such high quality. But this is the cheese from the furthest north part of Sweden, and is arguably and largely considered to be the best cheese in Sweden, and that is Västerbrotten. Västerbrotten cheese. We're at the time of the Crayfish Festival, when you have a pie, like a quiche, made with Västerbrotten, maybe with some chanterelles toasted and sautéed on top. Tack så mycket, hej Sverige. And then also on a Kräftskiva or Crayfish Festival, you would also saute foraged mushrooms from the local woods, and everywhere around here. You can't move for free mushrooms in the forest. I've just picked these, not picked these this morning, but I've torn them up and selected them. But these are the most incredibly good quality chanterelles. Apparently one guy locally managed to pick 12 litres of chanterelles in 1 hour. There we go. And they're expensive mushrooms, but here, when they're in season from the local market, I paid £5 for a kilo. There we go. Lovely, fantastic. Right. What else we got? Okay, so yeah, we're going to go on to fishy items next. This is something that, if you're Swedish, is divisive anyway, because even some Swedes don't like this stuff, but it is legend. Kalles caviar. Kalle means Charlie. It also means Willy for children, so they giggle quite a lot. But Kalle is the guy in the front, and this is not caviar, but in fact, it's probably the only thing I'm going to eat in this segment. It's actually cod roe eggs, or prawn eggs and cod eggs, pureed together with potato flour to make a cream, and salt. So delicious, so seafoody. In the morning, you get crisp bread, you put smør, butter on, and then you put a bit out on a bit of cheese. And this fish paste is eaten virtually every day by a lot of people in Sweden. I absolutely adore it. My brother can't stand it. My wife can't stand it. In fact, my wife can't stand it. I've had some when I'm in the room with her. But it is absolutely delicious. Yeah, anyway, you can make the easiest fish sauce. You can just get some cream. Yeah, if you can make let's say you got some mussels and you cook the mussels, take the liquor out, reduce the liquor down, put some creme fraiche in, squirt a little bit of this in. It has these little pink balls in there, and it just pimps any seafood sauce. Absolutely delicious. But I can't live without my Kalles caviar. We're now on herrings. This is probably one of the few things that people who don't come from Sweden know Sweden do, and that is rollmops and cured herring, which in Sweden is called sill. This is löksill, which means onion sill. This is a nice simple one. It's just delicious. You have this cold sill with gräddfil, sour cream, maybe with a bit of dill whipped into it, and some hot potatoes. So the hot potatoes and the cold fish out of the fridge. that dynamic contrast is something that kind of typifies a lot of Swedish cuisine, and I absolutely love it. Inlagd sill, does that mean marinated sill? I think it does. Yeah. Okay. This says Abbas, oh no, Grebbestads Abba anchovies. Now, this isn't anchovies, it's sprats. Anchovies are called sardinat, I think, or something like that. Sardat, I can't remember. But anyway, but it's not this. This is full of tiny little sprat fish, which have been cured in spices that, considering Sweden being a Nordic and a spice trading and a cloth trading nation, going back almost 800 years, they've been trading things like cinnamon and cardamom and mace and allspice and those sort of things. So those flavors come into cuisine surprisingly a lot over here. And this is an absolutely essential ingredient to what is considered to be the national dish of Sweden, which is Janssons frestelse. Janssons frestelse, which means Johnson's temptation. I think was only invented in the 20s, actually. But what you do is you just get a mandolin and you slice potatoes into thin, literally match-sized pieces of potato. You wape a thin slice of onion, and then you layer it up with these sprats and the lovely liquor, the juice that's inside of like Christmas spices and everything. And then you just put a bit of butter on top, pour in some double cream, bang in the oven for about an hour, and it's an absolutely heavenly dish. It's kind of like a cured, sweet and sour, Christmas spiced fish dauphinoise. If that doesn't sound appealing to you, don't try it, because some people hate it. But if it does, this will change your life. 5 ingredients, one of the nicest dishes, I think, in the entire world. It is kräftskiva when we normally eat crayfish from the lakes, from the sea lakes. And actually, there's just far too many people celebrating here because the Swedish know how to throw a party. So most of the crayfish comes from Turkey, where they taste like mud, as we discovered last year, and absolutely foul. So we don't do that. If you're posh, because we're by the seaside here, you go and buy langoustines instead. Langoustines are rather delicious. And the little crawdads, or the crayfish, which are like the American signal crayfish, in fact they are American signal crayfish, have small tails, quite big claws, and if cooked properly, can taste quite nice. But the process of cooking crayfish in this country can be applied to all sorts of things, prawns to langoustines or whatever, where you get a big bowl, a big stock pot, and you half fill it full of brine, even seawater if you buy the beach, and then you fill it up with brown beer, sweet ale, porter, Guinness, something like that, and then you put in a whole dill plant, flowers, the yellow flowers on, which are called dill kuna or dill crowns, and you put that in there as well. You boil it up, and you chuck in the crawdads, you chuck in your langoustines or chuck in your prawns, cook them for 2 to 4 minutes. Then you take it off the heat and let them soak as it cools down. Or you take them out, let the liquor cool down, otherwise they'll overcook. Then you put them back in, let them soak for a few hours or even a few minutes will make a difference, and then you eat them. Oh, can you imagine that? Salty water, like sea brine and beer and dill together. Oh, fantastic. Anyway, these are räkor that Mum has bought from the north of Sweden and had them bought mail order, and they came deep frozen in a box. And these are, I think, the best prawns. You can buy those very, very expensive red-coloured tiger prawns off the coast of Spain. Look, they are fantastic, but they're not that much better than this. This is the Norwegian deep water sea prawn. It's not a big prawn. I think gambas prawns, you should see what they feed that crap over in Indonesia. This is fresh, just surviving on krill in freezing cold water. So it takes prawns even that small, something like 2 or 3 years to grow. We're going to have some of those later before the Liverpool game of the first one of the season. Delicious. Now, everything in this country, because we've got, you imagine you have a very, very long hunger gap, because it's sunny and we have weather like this for about 2 months and it's amazing. And then it's dark for the rest of the year pretty much. So things grow very, very well for a very short period of time. There's a lot of hydroponic underground cooking now, so people have salads all year round. But virtually anything that's any quality is either air-dried, smoked, or what's the other way of preserving things, or pickled. Yeah, exactly. So you've got herrings, which are pickled. This is pepperrot, or this is horseradish. They use this in everything. This is fantastic with fish, particularly with this, which came out of the, I can't remember the name of the, what was the name of the fishery? Here it is. It's by a lake, Tiraholm, which is one of the most famous fisheries in Sweden, by a large lake. And if you're not by the seaside in Sweden, you buy a lake. So if you're not eating sea fish, you're eating freshwater fish. And Tiraholm is a very large lake full of gigantic, and I mean gigantic, prehistoric sized brown trout and rainbow trout. This is a slice of hot smoked rainbow trout, which I bought for my mum. She finds it hard to eat hard things now, so I thought I'd get some really nice, beautiful, tender, hot smoked brown trout. So if you think that's one part of a flank of a brown trout, how big do you think the brown trout was? It was 4 kilos. A 9 pound brown trout. I've never seen anything like it, but it's going to taste incredible. These are one of the best smokers. They use local spruce and local oak, hickory, cherry wood, that kind of thing, making what they call Dutch eels, or Hollander oel. Oel. This is a Dutch eel. There's a lot of flat land like there is in Holland, so there's a lot of irrigation canals, means a lot of eels. And it's amazing that in a climate like this, where there's so little food available for the general kind of food chain, how much calorie and how much fat the eels get. This is just smoky heaven. I mean, it smells like Lagavulin, right? It smells like the best Isla whiskey, but that's just the smell of the smoke. And it has a bone that goes through the middle. It's very, very easy to strip. But you have that with creme fraiche, with horseradish. You can buy it creamed, or you can buy it in almost every shop in this country, and you just grate your own. People have a very high tolerance for things like that. I opened a tube of Swedish Ica supermarket brand wasabi yesterday, and my eyes nearly fell out. And I thought I was capable of some quite punchy wasabi, but that was unbelievable. Anyway, that's from Mum later, so we're going to get out of the heat. Also, for those people that are squeamish, this is from another smokery. They butterfly it, they take the bones out, and like a kipper, they smoke it flat. So it's very, very easy to eat, and you can almost slice it like gravad lax, which is buried salmon or smoked salmon. So absolutely fantastic. They are so good at sandwich things in this country. Everything's on the go. If you've got a box of these, and you've got a few pots of this, you can live anywhere. This is Chickling curry rura. This is Swedish coronation chicken, and Emma's addicted to it. It's absolutely delicious. And there's a tuna one as well. Absolutely fantastic. How are we doing? Is this still interesting? I don't know if it is. Okay. From the same smokeries, obviously, if you're going to be preserving fish, why not preserve the pigs? Pig is king here. It's quite rare to find people eating roast beef, although it is available. It's very expensive. But this place made some amazing sausages. I went to a local farmer's market. This is green pepper salami, which I haven't opened yet. The chili salami, which has got bird's eye chilies in, absolutely delicious. Reminded me of chili Wurstel from the Alps. Beautiful smoking like a speck, but these are beautiful, high quality, firm salamis and saucissons. This is Ramslurg salami, which is wild garlic. There we go. Oh man, I put some of that into a Hortense style mussel cook the other day. Right. Essential, right? They eat so many hot dogs in this country, it's ridiculous. I don't know if you've ever been to IKEA, but I think you can buy a hot dog for 65p even now. Certainly in this country, they cost 50 pence each. This is a less well-known one, but it's a high-quality grade. But this is the OG. This is Slott Senap, Swedish Senap. This is the stuff they make the Senap sauce, or mustard sauce, with dill that you add to your gravad lax, your buried salmon. You can't have Swedish sausages without this. They call them Vienkorv, which means wiener, if you think about it, like Austrian sausage. But we've also been very lucky near here. We have a place called Goodmansgården. It's been run for 30 years by a German who knows how to kill a pig and chop it up. One of the best butchers and Metzgerei, if you like, in the whole of the country. Moving on. Everything comes in tubes, because tubes are recyclable. Plastic isn't, or not so much. This is Smörgås pickles. This is basically a remoulade. This is like the best quality sandwich pet spread. If you're a Heinz sandwich spread fan, this is the most delicious. It's made with high quality mayonnaise, egg mayonnaise, but it has beautiful chunks of carrot, cauliflower, and cucumber in it. It's just delicious, isn't it? And you can squirt this on anything. Put it onto roast chicken, sliced onto a crisp bread, or onto ham. They have a lot of what they call julskinka or whole ham sliced here. Very, very nice. This is the other thing that Sweden is very famous for, dill pickles. You would have seen these before because they go on burgers everywhere, but they started here and they were never intended for burgers. They were supposed to be put on cheese, ham, and Calais caviar. Sweet, dilly, mustard seeds, fantastic. I'm going to make some later for my mum. My neighbour gave me this, fresh cucumber. Secret of doing this properly, they've got the mayonnaise now. Is using this. This is spirit vinegar. They don't use white wine vinegar. They don't use cider vinegar. They use a spirit vinegar, which is, because it's distilled, it's pretty potent. It's 24% pure, makes your eyes water. It even burns skin if you're not careful with it. But we use this almost like a Japanese kind of pickle. Just some salt, that, water, and lots of sugar, and you can pickle these things. And that's why everything's so pickled in this country, because everything needs to last. This is Ecta, which is a mayonnaise made with this. So it's not made with eggs, it's not made with olive oil, it's not made with the flavours that we have in French mayonnaise. It's a completely neutral mayonnaise, which makes it utterly delicious with crayfish tails, with prawns, that kind of thing. Yeah, it's really, really, really good and tangy. It's got a great tang to it. Fantastic. So, per stop etika, or spirit vinegar. Gurka, cucumber. Fresh fruit from the garden. You'd be amazed in the short summer that we have here. Emma picked these. It's just... Oh. Find me a sweeter gooseberry in the world. Oh. They're like sweet grapes. Whole bush full of them next door. Of course, they pickle everything and they store everything. They use licorice as a pickling and a preservative agent to cure even salmon and things like that. This is an organic tomato jam. Tomatoes here are mega sweet, utterly delicious. What can I say? They're treated like a fruit because tomatoes are a fruit. Two things that are very, very important. When it comes down to basic lime fruit, you've got wild cranberry, Preiselbeer in Austrian, Sweden, Lingon berries. They're not big cranberries floating on the water like they do in Canada and places like that. These are hand-picked, nasty little plants in the woods, forest cranberries, and they taste sensational. If you're having a schnitzel or anywhere where you'd normally use Preiselbeeren in Germany or something like that, you can use Lingon here. But I don't know, what do you put this on? You put this on everything, don't you? Yes, fish, chicken.
So do they.
Yeah, it's on everything. And it also goes on meatballs and new potatoes, which is the other, obviously, famous Swedish dish. Meatball being köttbullar, meatball, okay? Now, I bought this as well. This is like a tenner for a jar this small. This is made from a fruit, which is, frankly, insane. It's like a little plant. It looks like a little lady's finger. It's like a little small plant with a little, like one little yellow or orange or golden raspberry on top. It's only made pretty much on or north of the Arctic Circle. And this is a fruit called hjortron. And it's full of pips. It's a real pain, even homemade one. So you need to sieve it out. But it is an extraordinary flavour. They even make dessert wine out of this for hundreds of pounds a bottle. I mean, if a jar that size costs 10 quid for jam, it's an incredibly rare thing to find. This has got 75% pure hjortron and 75% and 25% sugar. That's it. But it has a unique and delicious taste. It has a slightly astringent back taste. It tastes a little bit like persimmon or tomato or elderberry. There's a little kick. But apart from that, it has this wonderful golden, totally unique fruit flavour. Absolutely delicious. What are hjortrons called in England? Well, you can't find them in England, but they're called cloudberries. There we are. That's a cloudberry fruit. So, we're on to the business end of things now. Let's get another sip of my alcohol-free beer. What do the Swedes drink? Well, there are vineyards. About 18 at the last count I looked. Watching a guy on TV recently and watching a lady, there was a guy called Tarek Taylor, who's, I think, American-Swedish. He does these amazing food shows about the food around the Sweden. And he was talking to a lady up in Varberg or Gothenburg on the west coast, which is where we are, where obviously it catches the most sun, where they have planted vineyards. And there are two great varieties planted. Solaris, which is very, very useful in a country which has no sun. That's why it's planted in Wales as well, and planted in Denmark. They also have a red grape variety called Rondo, which is only red by nature of the fact that Rondo is one of the Teinturier varieties. When you cut it open, it's red inside, so it's red every year. We used to use that in England back in the 60s and 70s. I don't know how bad global warming has to get before Sweden starts to produce decent red, but it's not happening yet. People say to me that the best white wines in this country are now quite delicious. And for the first 10 or 15 years, just out of patriotism, they tried to like them. They were telling people, oh, we're getting there. They're quite good. And they were horribly expensive. But also, worst part, in this country, it was illegal to buy any alcohol over 3.5% in anywhere other than the government shops, which is the reason why they sell this. This is from the local brewery. This is now a Carlsberg brewery. And it's a brewery that makes alcohol-free Carlsberg for all over the world. And by the way, it's really good alcohol-free Carlsberg. I think it's better than their regular one. But this is Falcon. This is what they call, I think, Class 3 or Class 3. which is the highest level of alcohol you can sell to you have to be over 18, to someone in a supermarket, and it's 3.5% alcohol, which is not far off Carlsberg anyway, which is 3.8. And they do things like they make Pilsner Urquell, the original Pilsner beer. They make it at 3.5%. Because those beers are quite full flavoured and relatively low in alcohol, they've picked them as beers that they can produce slightly less alcoholic and still produce a result that's good. But if you want proper beer, you have to go to Systembolaget and buy the crate. But we like it. And also it means the Swedes have been so good at making low alcohol beers, 3.5 and class 2, which is 2.8, and 0.5, which is class 1 or less. They've been so good at it that we're now in a world where everyone wants to drink alcohol-free beer, and the Swedes can do it really well. Absolutely fantastic. That's to go back in the fridge for my wife for later. 25 minutes, good. We're in the half hour. That's great. That's all I wanted to do. Okay, so look, does anybody recognise these? I did a show about this about 2 or 3 years ago. You may have remembered, and it was in that room, which is now my mum's bedroom. So it seemed inappropriate to do it. This is the original, the OG. This is the Swedish national drink, Aquavit, and this is O.P. Anderson's Aquavit from Gothenburg, which was the first one. This is the OG, organic Aquavit. It was first made in 1891. There we go. It's made from. Thank you for reminding me, sir. Aquavit is basically a vodka which has been flavoured with specific flavours, which are regularly and popularly found in this part of the world because you don't need lots of sunshine to ripen them. So, fennel tops, fennel, caraway, cumin, dill tops, and dill weed, and fennel. Okay, and those are the flavours. And you have to have, I think, by law, 2 or 3 of those in order for it to be allowed to be called Aquavit. This is the one that I think people that are loyal to Sweden, the white supremacists, would probably be drinking this one. But it's also one that I particularly like, and it's always sold straight out of the freezer. If you're even more locally inclined and live near Malmö in the south, or any of the beautiful cities, university town of Lund, Helsingborg. So we're in Halland here. And if you just go about 10 miles south here, you're in a place called Skåne. And Skåne is the county which goes right down to the south. This is Skåne Aquavit, and it's absolutely delicious. They've been making that since 1931, so more recently. For somebody who wants to try something, I think, a bit sophisticated, this is a bit of a curveball here because people might disagree with me. This is Aalborg from Denmark. Aalborg's Aquavit normally is 45% alcohol, has a red label, and it's punchy as hell, and it is jammed with caraway, and I find that a bit too much. It's like Kummel. It's not something I can drink lots of, and trust me, when you want to get on this, you have to drink quite lots of it. Oh, there's a poor little bee in here. Never mind. But they for the 100th anniversary, Aalborg created a new drink, which is 40%, not 45. It's way past it. And they made this the Jubileum's Aqua, which I think is silky, smooth, absolutely stunning and delicious. And it's claiming it was made since 1846, which way predates O.P. Anderson. There we go. But 1946 was when they came up with that recipe, which is going to bring me to 2 last things. Before you finish the story of Aquavit, I'm hopefully going to go over there and talk to him in a minute. There's a wonderful lady called Lisa Lemke, married to Marcus Grunholm. Marcus is a pizzaiola extraordinaire and super chef, and they have one of the coolest pizza restaurants doing crazy stuff. Only about 5 miles from here in a place called Proston's Pizza. It's packed. They have the most amazing cocktails. They do home makes. They make their own sea buckthorn liqueurs and all sorts of wonderful things. And they've got a place now called the Martbruk, which means food factory, where they have a distillery, and they decided to have a go at themselves in a country where it's very, very difficult to have any access to anywhere. I thought it was quite a bold move early on, but they started to produce a Navy-strength London gin and a London gin with this label on, Skria Becker, and they are absolutely stunning. I think the naval one is the best, but the cheapest drink they make is this, their Aquavit. It's 289 krona, which is about 23 quid for a half litre, which does not make an expensive spirit in any shape or form, not even by English standards. This is batch 10. And the key flavours in here are dill crowns, dill kuna, that wonderful perfume that you get from cooking the crayfish, fennel, and sea kelp. Yeah, well, I can't not have a little sip. Skål. Tack så mycket. Right, I'm going to go over to see Philip, who's one of the founders, hopefully in a minute to the film. This is something that the Swedes are famous for. Every Christmas they produce a liqueur called glögg. Glögg is actually the base for making things like fortified, like vinglögg is a glühwein in Swedish. So they have a base which is either alcoholic or not alcoholic, which you can add red wine to make spice wine, or they have Glögg, which you drink on its own. And every year the government comes out with a new flavour. And people connect them. Just to give you some idea of how much collecting goes on, we found this in Mum's cupboard. This is the Blusser Glögg release for 2005, which is now 20 years old. And it's made from Armagnac, Hjortron, cloudberries, and Julen. That was that holly berries? I don't know. I'm going to see if it's still drinkable. It smells amazing.
It keeps.
Whoa! Mostly sugar, to be fair. Anyway, I hope you learned something from that. That's a bit about the drinking. Oh, yes, it's the afternoon. Let's say it's taken that long for me to cook it. And so you don't sit down with another pot of coffee and you have, these are called? Delicatos, which are uncooked cocoa butter, sugar, oat, and coconut. Soft. Oh, very rich. And it's typical in the afternoon to always have a cup of coffee with a little naughty snack, which is called frika. And the last cultural thing we need to talk about, which I think every Swedish child will identify with, is Saturday sweets. Lördagsgodis. Somebody back in the 50s was looking at teeth quality in children, and also the children that were completely batshit crazy running around with kind of attention deficit issues and so forth from eating too much sweets and chemicals and sugar. And they also realised that kids were eating, as their kids' parents saying, oh, you can have one sweet after dinner and then have a couple of sweets every day. And it was causing major rot in the teeth. And it was shown that if you have one or two sweets after dinner every day, the child's more likely to turn out to be mental. Or also, you're going to do much more damage to your teeth and your general well-being if you eat a small amount of sweets every day than if you binge on one day. Let the kids have as many as they want. And also, it's an opportunity to give kids pocket money and allow them to work out and to learn about money. And, oh, if I bought too many sweets, then I can't buy that magazine I wanted to buy. Like, people buy magazines. I mean, I don't do it anymore. But Emma went to the local shop and bought one of each from the last Saturday and bought herself, because I've eaten mine, some lördagsgodis, which she hasn't even eaten yet. But in Sweden on a Saturday, every local, like some corner shop is full of children spending money and eating sweets. They all go bananas on a Saturday night while their parents drink Romanian wine boxes and aquavit, and then everyone wakes up with either a sugar rush hangover or an alcohol hangover on Sunday morning. That is Sweden. Tack så mycket. Varsågod. There you go. Hopefully that'll be of interest to people, because I've pretty much covered every food stuff that anyone in this country eats. Haven't I?
More or less.
More or less. I think it needs to get back in the fridge before it goes off. Yeah.
Distillery visit to follow.
Yeah, and I'm off to the beach. Hey, Doc. Turn it off.